Okay, let's continue. I know you've heard of media blackouts before, but I want to make sure that we all understand it as a tactic of genocide, and to understand not just mainstream media's habit in using that tactic, but also Meta's, because that's what just happened. I lost access to my account for 72 hours. And in those 72 hours, other Palestinian creators lost their access to going live, their collaboration feature, they lost their ability to interact with other Palestinian content to continue pushing it into the algorithm, they were shadow banned, and Israel banned Al Jazeera from its territory. And when all of that happened, mainstream media diverted public attention from Gaza to everyone's favorite fascist fashion show, the Met Gala. Media blackouts have always been a part of systems of genocide and various instances of ethnic cleansing throughout history, often to obscure the severity of the atrocities and reduce international intervention. In 1994, during the Rwandan genocide, there was substantial control over media coverage, particularly by the government that was carrying out the genocide against the Tutsi population. The government used radio stations to incite violence while restricting external media from covering the atrocities effectively. From 1992 to 1995, during the Bosnian War, particularly during the Srebrenica massacre, there were efforts by Serbian forces to restrict media access to prevent the documentation of the genocide of Bosniak Muslims. In the 2000s, during the Darfur genocide, the Sudanese government heavily restricted access to journalists and international observers, attempting to downplay the violence and humanitarian crisis. In the 2010s, Myanmar's military conducted operations against the Rohingya with very limited media access. The lack of transparency and restriction on international media was aimed at concealing the scale of the atrocities and the rapidly growing humanitarian crisis. In fact, just like now in Gaza, Meta played a huge role in manufacturing consent for violence against the Rohingya population with its dangerous algorithms. A report from Amnesty International, which demands reparations for the Rohingya from Meta, Amnesty's Secretary General states, in 2017, the Rohingya were killed, tortured, raped, and displaced in the thousands as part of Myanmar's security forces' campaign of ethnic cleansing. In the months and years leading up to the atrocities, Facebook's algorithms were intensifying a storm of hatred against the Rohingya, which contributed to real-world violence. In these situations, controlling media coverage serves to minimize domestic and international backlash, and it allows those in power to continue their policies without external interference. And again, in the context of Gaza, this media blackout was so that Israel could invade and bomb a population of millions of refugees living displaced in tents in Rafah without international pause, let alone intervention, killing at least 25 people with dozens more trapped under the rubble. The shortcomings and deliberate miseducation perpetuated by media is not something to scoff at, and these social media companies absolutely play the same role. So we need to hold them accountable. We need to be protesting outside their doors and demanding divestment and justice the way we do our politicians and our universities and weapons manufacturers. It's all connected, all of it. Conveniently today, Meta has released a public comments section on their oversight board website where they're asking for feedback on censorship of Palestinian voices and calls for liberation. So, if you feel like you have something of value to contribute to their research, their public comment window will be open for 14 days and closes on Tuesday, May 21st. You can find the link for that in my bio. Media blackouts are a part of the systems of genocide, and they can't keep getting away with it.